There's a pattern that can quietly take over your day, and the tricky part is you might not even notice it at first. It doesn't feel dramatic, it doesn't feel like something's wrong, it just feels normal. You start your day, sit down to do something, and then your attention shifts. You remember something you forgot, or you check something quickly, or even you might respond to something small. Then you move on, and then again and again. And before you realize it, your day becomes a series of small switches. Nothing major, just constant movement. You're still getting things done, you're still moving through your responsibilities, but your attention never really stays anywhere for long. You're not stuck, you're just always switching, and because of that, your mind never fully settles. I remember when I first started noticing this in my own life. I'd sit down to work on something fully intending to focus, and within minutes, my attention would drift. Not in a dramatic way, it would just move. Maybe I remembered something I forgot. Maybe something else felt suddenly more important. Maybe it was just something small that pulled me away. And each time, it felt reasonable. That's what made it hard to catch. Nothing felt like a mistake. It felt like I was staying on top of things. But by the end of the day, something felt off. Not overwhelmed, not behind, just unsettled. Like my mind had been in motion all day, but never actually arrived anywhere. That's when something clicked for me. It's not always about doing too much. Sometimes it's about your attention never staying in one place long enough to actually land, to fully arrive in what you're doing. Because when your attention keeps moving, your thinking stays surface level. It never has time to deepen. For a while, I thought the solution was simple. I told myself I just needed better focus, more discipline, more control over my time. So I tried to force it. I tried to stay on one thing longer, push through distractions, lock in. But the more I forced it, the more restless I felt because the issue wasn't effort, it was the pattern. When your attention is constantly switching, your mind never gets the chance to settle. And without that, clarity can't form. So what you end up with is this subtle friction throughout your day. Simple decisions take more effort. Tasks feel heavier than they should. Your mind feels busy, but not clear. And it's confusing because on the surface, everything looks fine. You're productive, you're keeping up, but internally, something feels slightly off. There's a difference between being busy and being mentally present. You can move through an entire day, completing tasks, checking things off, and still feel like you were never really there because your attention kept moving. You can even have a productive day and still feel mentally drained, not because you did too much, but because your attention never had a place to land. And if this is something you've been noticing in your own life, this is actually something I share more about each week. Small shifts like this, ways to slow things down, reset your attention, and feel more clear mentally. So if you want that kind of support, you can join my email list or my Facebook page. I've linked both below. All right, back to this. This becomes more noticeable in midlife because now you're not just managing a few things, you're holding more. Work, family, decisions, responsibilities that have built over time. So your attention adapts. It learns to move faster, to switch quickly, to stay on top of everything, and in many ways, that's useful. But over time, that constant switching becomes your default, even when it's no longer helping you. For me, things started to shift when I stopped trying to control my attention and started noticing it. just becoming aware of how often it was moving and asking a different question. Not what do I need to finish next, but where is my attention right now? That question changes things because it pulls you out of autopilot and back into the moment you're actually in. And what I noticed was this: my attention was almost always never fully where I thought it was. Part of it was always somewhere else, on the next thing, the previous thing, or something unrelated. So instead of trying to fix everything at once, I did something smaller. I started slowing down the switching, letting myself stay with one thing just a little longer than I normally would. Not perfectly, not all day, just a little longer. And that's where things began to shift. My thinking felt clearer, my decisions felt easier, and that constant sense of mental movement started to ease. It wasn't because I was doing less, it was because my attention was finally staying put long enough for my thoughts to fully form. If your mind has been feeling busy lately, this might be worth noticing. It may not be that you're doing something wrong. It may simply be that your attention has gotten used to moving too quickly. And the shift isn't about forcing it to stop. It's about gently allowing it to stay, even for a little longer than it's used to. Because clarity begins when your attention stays in one place long enough for your thinking to settle. So, if you take anything from this, let it be this: sometimes clarity doesn't come from doing less. It comes from allowing your attention to fully land in what you're doing. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to overhaul your entire day. Just start by noticing. Where is your attention right now? And can you let it stay there just a little longer? Because when your attention settles, your thinking becomes clearer. And when your thinking becomes clearer, life starts to feel more steady. And if this resonates with you, if this is something you've been feeling but couldn't quite put into words, I share more of this. Simple ways to think more clearly, feel more grounded, and move through your day with less mental noise. You can join my email list or come connect with me on Facebook. Both are linked below. And real progress? It doesn't come from pressure. It comes from clarity.